We're going to be showing you the trailer. The teaser is incredible. This is going to be one of those that you do not want to be told about on the TL. You want to be part of the action. You want to have seen what is going on, all right? So you want to follow through. We're going to be talking to the actors on the show right here. But there's someone who's going to be reading my social media tonight. It's not Usha. I saw Usha Ali on social media talking about love. I think she knew I was going to make fun of her. That's why she didn't come. But today we have someone new. Ako upande upi MCA wetu, the only MCA I actually know. Hi, Tricky. Oh, MCA.
Yeah, you. Niko
Mambo,
hapa.
Tricky.
Niko fiti sana Amina.
Uko poa?
Niko shambamba.
So, smile sana. Uko poa?
Niko fiti, niko hapa sasa, nataka tuchape kitu noma sana hapa. Niko na meme challenge noma. Na meme challenge yetu ya leo ndio hii hapa. Itaweza sana, nataka wase waweke caption ile noma, ile creative kabisa, ile ukiangalia hivi ina come through vizuri, kila msee anaweza bambika nayo. Alafu baadaye tutakuwa na chagua wenye wameweka caption noma, tunawazawadia. Si itakuwa fiti?
Itakuwa poa kabisa. Picha kwa wapi? Alright, so there it is.
Ndio hiyo hapo sasa. Na cheki huyu mtu unacheki venye ameinua macho hivyo hivyo. Nataka unipatie caption ile noma kabisa hiyo. Okay.
Look at how he's hung. I'm dying. Tricky, kwa nini umehang? Nini nimefanyika? I'm so confused what just happened.
Ni mtu yeye amenicheki manzeni kaogopa.
Ndio kanyamaza. Unajua nimeshindwa kwani kumendaje. All right, so Tricky's on is going to be reading our social media feedback tonight at the Trend Live with the hashtag Hamina is how you get to say hello to us tonight as we talk about menstrual hygiene. Now, 10% of girls in sub-Saharan Africa miss school when they're menstruating, and that's because of the culture of shame that surrounds menstruation. And I was just telling one of my guests tonight that I don't think I've ever had this conversation with my brothers or any male, anyone in my life about menstruation. Now, women and girls here in Kenya are not able to afford sanitary pads, and that forces a percentage of them to indulge in transactional sex, as they call it. In June of 2017, President Uhuru Kenyatta signed an amendment to the education law that states free, sufficient, and quality sanitary towels must be provided to every school. Well, I mean, like the laptop project, I guess that's that. Hashtag Hey Amina. So let's start talking about this, guys. That's how we're gonna get it started on that energy, Abby. That's where we're gonna be. Good evening, guys, and welcome to the show. So let me just position my seat nicely. Where am I sitting like that? All right. So Janet Mbugua.
Yes. Hello.
No need to introduce yourself.
It's good to be back.
Again, my co-host, our other co-host on the show.
I've been trying to force issues, but hey, you know.
So, Abby, you can also tell people exactly what it is that you do. They need to know. You're phenomenal, and more people need to know what you do.
Hi, phenomenal. Thank you. Well, I'm Abby Weyime, and I am the founder of the Grace Cup. So the Grace Cup is basically Kenya's first menstrual cup brand. That's what I do.
All right.
Yeah.
And I'm Neville Okwaro. So basically I'm a menstrual hygiene management trainer for East and Southern Africa, and that is what I do best, just train on menstruation.
Yes.
Yes.
In fact, let's just start with that. I mean, being a guy, right? So you're a man, and Janet was telling me you know more about menstruation than a lot of other women know about menstruation. So how did you get involved in this?
Actually, I had a training in India in 2015. And I was trained on menstrual hygiene management. And even before I went for that training, I wondered why should a man go for such a training? But I realized that what I thought I knew about menstruation was actually a fallacy and a lie. It wasn't factual information. So, for lack of a better word, let me say I felt so stupid. And that is why I decided, since I know there are also men out there who do not know so much about menstruation, let me get into this field. Let me just go out there and talk about menstruation.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's something personal. If by any chance I would have known about menstruation, I think I would have behaved differently in different settings. But here comes a case where, as boys, we've ridiculed girls when they have stained their dresses, when they're on their periods, and also at the same time, we've not been supporting them effectively. So that is why I decided, hey, let me get into this space.
Yeah. And then Abby decided to get into a very different space with a tiny little cup-like this thing. And the reason why I said it was really, really phenomenal is because, you know, the cup for a lot of people around the country, you know, when we talk about pads, come on, 50 bob, 200 bob, you know, for a lot of people, maybe that's money that you can just fork out. But for some, it's not that easy. And that cup is reusable. That's why. So you can tell people more about the Grace Cup.
Yeah, so the Grace Cup basically is a reusable cup, like you mentioned. So as opposed to a pad or a tampon, it absorbs your period, it collects your period as opposed to absorbing it.
Yeah.
So it's reusable. You can use it for up to 12 hours with no need of changing. Good for your health, good for the environment, good for your pocket.
Yes, it is. It really is good for the pocket.
Yeah.
Shannon, did you wear red? Was it by chance? Was this part of the
This
theme?
is symbolism.
Oh, okay. I see it.
Period. Let's
I
go
see it.
there.
So the 28th, what did you do?
The 28th was for me wanting to just look at the landscape of what people were doing and talking about and discussing. That felt more important to me than doing an activation. Also the fact that I happened to be handling something a bit personal. But prior to that, there was a couple of, you know, I put up a petition a few days before then and was kind of monitoring what people were doing in Kenya and around the world. And it was exciting. First of all, the fact that we're here on live TV talking about menstruation, for me just shows we've come such a long way for something that could never have happened many, many years ago, where you'd be told, you can't talk about that, it's taboo.
Yeah.
You know, that's something you're supposed to be quiet about.
Yeah.
And so 28th was just me participating or looking at the landscape, you know, the Menstrual Hygiene Day, whether it was organizations in Kenya, around the world. It was just fantastic watching the conversations going on. So really it was reflective for me. And then post that on the 29th, I kind of just did a week that was, and the different events I participated in, and just kind of where my mind is at in this conversation, which has kind of moved to where we're at with policy, what needs to improve, because without that, then it's a little difficult to have anything else move really well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the focus of the petition as well, which is not to say nothing has been done. The fact that an amendment has been signed, I think Kenya is ahead in many ways, and I know Neville will attest to that, but it's not prioritized like it should be. There's millions of women and girls whose lives are disrupted, and so if it's treated as a by the way, or as a something that's not important, or don't we have bigger issues to worry about? Well, it's half the population that needs these issues addressed, whether you have access or not. There's still so many issues that need to be addressed, and that's why I wanted a petition that kind of says, hi, we're here to remind you that it's important for you to prioritize this and then ratify it, because it's been gathering dust for a while.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting that you said it's half the population. It's actually more than half the population,
Yep.
especially on the African context, where about 1 billion, and you know, more than half of that number is women and girls.
Yeah.
Now, something unfortunate, transactional sex, and this has been happening for years. I mean, now it's based with, you know, on the research that you guys have conducted and, you know, that you've come across over the years. Maybe you can touch on what are some of the areas that, you know, this is very prevalent?
There was a study that was done in one of the counties, Busia and also Bungoma. We realized that girls do not have access to sanitary pads, and also not just sanitary pads, but menstrual management materials. So what they do is, some of them, not all, that why don't we go sleep with, especially truck drivers? In turn, we can get some money to buy sanitary pads. So that is basically due to issues of lack of access. Because if the moment we deal with issues of access to sanitary pads, then automatically we'll have dealt with transactional sex for pads.
Yeah.
But also it's important to note that, as Janet will always call them, there is also a group called the privileged. The privileged normally would afford sanitary pads. The privileged will always have pads at their disposal. For them, it's just a matter of that time when I'm on my periods, just picking it from maybe the drawers or something. And so most of them will be against things like reusable sanitary pads. Someone told me, how can I wash my own blood? Simply because they do not understand that right now in our country, however much I believe we've tried so much, pads are still out of reach for so many people.
Yes,
so what they end up using are, believe it or not, some use cow dung, dried cow dung, some use clothes, some use leaves just to manage their periods. But if by any chance we will have made pads accessible, then automatically we'll have dealt with issues of transactional sex.
And you're trying to tackle it on the other side, Janet. So you're talking policies.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what it is that people are now signing, and
Yeah.
you've been excited to share on social.
So just as a precursor to that, this thing around period choice is also important. Having the cup, and Abby talks about it really passionately on her YouTube channel and on her pages.
Yeah.
But if we don't broaden it and we're insisting on disposable pads, there's also a little bit, it's shrinking the choice for people. So I think there should also be a conversation around, let's allow people to choose what works for them. Of course, there'll be issues around, can we access the water and everything to clean, but let's at least allow that. But I think she can talk about that later. But for the petition, it's, as I mentioned, it's just, I don't feel like having an amendment within, an act is sufficient. It's a line and an amendment for something that affects millions of people. So I'm not disputing that there is a policy, and a very robust policy, that is going to one day be launched. But public participation, we need to know. I think it's important that we as the public are included, that the media is included in understanding it, and that there's a broader scope, and that it does not come from a point of privilege, which sometimes is a concern. Because when you spend a lot of time out there, the issues are so far removed from what people are discussing in the boardrooms. You need to go to the grassroots and then understand it, the boardroom level.
Yeah.
So it's really about prioritizing it as an issue, and it's also about the fact that we need to be involved, and that's the only way to achieve. That's part of what achieves gender equality. So people feel, and I see this a lot. You read people saying, "Why do you guys always talk about but you have access, why is it your problem?" Or, "Aren't there bigger issues to worry about?" No. As mentioned, it affects so many people.
It does.
And in the bigger scheme of things, lack of access, having transactional sex, unwanted pregnancies, dropout, feeds into the poverty cycle. So guess what? It ends up affecting everyone in one way or another. So if we could have these conversations more, get people to understand, men as well, get the public to also understand. And close to 20,000 signatures on the petition right now.
Wow.
It's fantastic seeing the comments, and a lot of them from men saying, "I believe in this because I know somebody who's affected." We're really making progress. How, unfortunately, sometimes you're locked out of places where these decisions are being made, and we're saying, let's all talk about it, invite us in, and let's have this participation so that we're all collectively aware of what this policy says.
All right.
That's really what it is, yeah.
Jana is going to be telling us more about the policy, and we want more people to sign up, right? So
Right,
are we,
yes.
are we still, we're pushing for
Yes,
that?
we're still pushing
All
for
right,
that.
so we're going to get that. When we get back, we also get to talk more about the Grace Cup and why it's going to change how a lot of young girls, view menstruation. When it comes to that time of the month, listen, I know there's so many guys who switched off the TV. There's so many dads who are like, this is the most uncomfortable interview. They're like, it's a discussion we have to have. Women hold up half the sky. Hashtag here, Mina, at the Trend Live. We need to talk about this.
I think I'll leave it at 2
In Africa, I don't know why we do that. We invest in our children. Let's stop that, guys. No, this year it's a different year, okay? It's smack in the middle of the year. So June is starting. So let's start with goals. You can start investing right on your app. Plus, they also get to test you so that you know what level, what kind of risk taker are you, or you're just safe like me. My bills, my bonds, so make sure you download the app. Now, as we continue talking about this conversation, we also do need your participation and your engagement. So our number is right there at the bottom of the screen. It's going to appear any minute now, and we want to hear you and what you have to say about this. Call us. Let's talk about menstruation and menstruation hygiene. In studio, we have Abby, Neville, and Janet. And right before the break, Abby was about to take us through, what the Grace Cup even looks like so that you can understand. And you've brought other images that we had discussed. I don't know if we're allowed to show that. I guess I'll know now.
Because, unfortunately with the cup, I cannot give a live demo. So I have to use a dummy.
We are happy.
Yeah.
So great, let's go ahead.
Okay, so how to use it is very simple actually. So the cup is just folded. This is the Grace cup. This is how it looks like. So it's folded like that. This is one way of folding it, which I prefer. Another way is like this. It's folded like that.
A lot.
Yeah. And then it's inserted inside the vagina. So the same way that you'd insert a tampon is the same way that you'd insert a cup. So when you insert it, it opens up like that. So that's what I was saying, as opposed to... People are learning things here.
I know the
So,
men are learning. Send that to M-Pesa right now. Do just see, imagine. I want cup. Guys.
Yeah, so the cup sits in there like
Yeah.
that. So that's what I was saying, as opposed to a tampon or a pad that's absorbing, a cup
Yeah.
is simply collecting. So this cup can collect your period for up to 12 hours. So basically in the morning you insert it and you only take the cup out in the evening. So when you take it out, you just pinch the base, because you see there are 4 holes around the cup. I don't know if the camera can be able to
We
pick
can't
it, but
see
there
that.
are 4 holes. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're tiny holes.
They're tiny
So
holes.
the holes, they create a vacuum
Yeah.
to make sure that no leakages happen. Also,
Yeah.
no air goes in, because air is what causes the bad smell when you're having a period. So you just simply take it out, rinse it with water, and then you just reinsert, and you can use it for 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
How many cups you can?
Just need one.
And how much is one?
This one is 2,000 shillings, but that's for someone with a light to a medium flow.
Okay.
And this one is called the Grace Cup Gold. So this one is perfect for someone with a heavy flow.
I'm so sure the men are like, first of all, let us sijawahi kujua kuna konga. Hey. Ati which cup?
Wanacheka.
Yeah, I'm so sure saying that like evu kujua on NTV. But yes, and it's not uncomfortable or painful that, you know, as you would imagine. It's not like that. So Neville, for you, this, you know, this is something very common for you, and you train people all the time. And shout out to King Kaka. You know, I saw the other day, again, another 90 students now going to school because of his, you know, Bank on Me campaign that he has been doing. Have you ever been criticized, Neville?
Not really.
Okay.
Actually, what I've received is thumbs up for being a man who talks about menstruation. And also at the same time, sometimes when you go for training, women will always ask, what is a man doing in a menstruation training? So that is the farthest that have gone, but criticism, no. I haven't received any so far.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we have a caller, Anita from Kakamega. Hi, Anita. Hello? Hello? All right. Anita. Hey, what Kakamega?
Representing.
So you'll just call again. Now, I want to ask you guys a very personal question. What's your most awkward period story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awkward.
Yeah, the one you remember and you're just like, but God, why? What did I do to deserve this? What did I do? What happened? The one time. You don't have any, Janet?
No, I think for me, I always go back to that moment when I first realized I was having my period and I had no idea what was happening. I was very young. I was 10 years old. So I was pretty young, and I woke up and, you know, there was blood. Went to my mom because I thought I was dying. Then she was shocked because she thought
You were dying.
she had another 3 years to talk to me about it. So even she was trying to be like, so how do I, you know, what do I do? So that was the most memorable, because I didn't even know it was called a period. I went to school and my friend noticed I was walking like a duck because I was wearing pads and I didn't know
Yeah.
how to walk with them. And so she's the one who schooled me. She was 11 years old. And she said, you're on your period. I said, I'm on my what? She said, you're on your period. And she's like, let me school you. An 11-year-old is the one who inducted me. Until now, my mom came to and was like, okay, let me explain what's happening.
I can imagine.
After
at
that, there's
10.
been, you know, moments of staining, etc. But that one is the one that sticks in my mind.
At 10, you
At
wake
10.
up, a pool of blood. I can imagine that too.
Yeah.
So we have Paul from Siaya. Hello, Paul. Hi.
Yeah, hi,
How are you?
I'm fine.
Fantastic. So, Paul, what is your question or a comment? Hello?
Hi,
Yes?
I'm fine.
That's wonderful.
I'm just asking, where can I get this cup?
Sorry?
Where can I get this cups? Are they available?
Oh, the cups, are they available?
Yeah, they give me.
Yes, the cups we sell, we deliver everywhere in East Africa. We have shops in town, at Valley Arcade. We also sell online. We sell on Jumia. We're on every social media page. So on Facebook, it's the Grace Cup. On YouTube, on Instagram, the Grace Cup. So we're everywhere. You
Yeah.
can't miss us.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Paul. Plus, we have Damaris as well on the line. Hello, Damaris. Good evening.
Oh, hello, Amina.
How are you?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. All right, so now what is your question? What's your comment tonight as we talk all things menstruation?
Mine is a comment. I really feel that it's a nice topic that they are discussing. And congrats to them. And it's good that they're educating the girl child as well as the boy child, that we get to know about their menstrual health.
All right. Thank you so much for that. That's so
It's
cool.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Keep on calling, guys. We want to talk more about menstruation. Now, so she's shared hers. Abby, what was yours?
I can't say it was awkward, but again, it was the first time when I had my period because that's the most memorable for me. So thank God I already knew what a period was. But when it started, I was in complete denial because it was on a Friday and the next Saturday we're going on a trip to Naivasha. And you know, by then you're in class 8, you really don't want to be getting a period. So when it started, I was in complete denial until I spotted again, and that was before I left for school. So I had to call my mom. I'm like, Mom, zimeanza.
Wow.
The moment I said that, she immediately knew what I meant. And she was like, whoops, swooping me and taking me to the bedroom to like, okay, you knew this day was coming, so here's a pad, this is what you do. And then the very first day, I used the whole pack. I wasn't, like, every time there's a little drop, I'll change it. I'm changing. I'm not staying with this thing. This is like, nope, that's not how it works.
No, not with this economy. Tuko na deni. Tutalipa China, tutakununulia pads. Hebu shika hiki kikombe.
Exactly.
We have someone as well on the line right now. Hello, Desmond. Hello. Hi. Desmond, turn down the TV. I can hear myself. Hi, how are you?
How is you?
Me, I'm fantastic. And you, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I was asking,
Yes.
what of those ladies who actually there are a lot every period? So
Yes.
does that cup not end up being full?
Doesn't that cup do what? I didn't.
Get full.
Like
Oh, yes.
6 hours
Yeah.
in the morning, then he removes in the evening.
Yeah.
That's actually a guy. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
So I'm just like the two guys who've asked questions.
I
I'm
know.
so impressed. Sorry, go ahead.
So the cup that so you see, like I said, we have 2 sizes for the heavy and for the light. So in my experience, I find that very few people will even fill this cup because most women do not know that on average you bleed for only 4 tablespoons, not per day. That's per cycle, and that is like on the extreme end. Some people will be like 1 tablespoon, others like 2.5. So it's not a lot of blood, but there are other cases like people who have fibroids and endometriosis. Those like they bleed seriously, you know. So I find that people who have endo and fibroids and they still use the cup. So there's a lady who used to fill a pad in 30 minutes, and she now does this in 2 hours.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I bet people wonder, like, because the guys are just like, so ukikimbia ina mwagika, you know, just. I bet they have questions, and that's why. Look at DJ E. Look at DJ.
Yes, I'm embarrassed.
He's going to sidebar.
No, guys, it's fine.
later.
We can talk about this. We can talk about this, right? I was just telling Janet, I've never talked to anyone about. In fact, this is ridiculously odd for me because we don't talk about this in public.
Yeah.
I've never had this conversation with my brother. I'd never, you know, I can't even say these words. I'm just trying with this show.
You come up with different, anti-flow, those red days. It's like, no, it's your period.
It's hard for people to even say vagina.
Oh, yeah.
Even up to now. So the people who cannot say the word vagina.
Yeah.
Whether in public, in private, they're not going to say
And
it.
the moment they correlate the two, it's like, do not talk to me about that thing, that time of the month, you know.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because some people are reduced to, there's some cultures where you can't cook or be in the same home with men because you're dirty,
Yes.
and that's somebody she's going through such a natural process. There's places where you can't worship, like in a temple, for example. And so those are the things that hopefully we can do away with because this is a very natural, normal thing every single month. And so to reduce somebody to you're dirty or you're not worthy of worshiping, it can really destroy somebody's self-esteem. Some women, it's normalized for them. That's all they've known.
Yeah,
But now
like
we're
in my
saying,
religion.
and having people like Neville, it's like, no, this is a natural thing. Let's just find a way to talk about it, to address period poverty because that's now lack of access. So to use different options like the cup, let's open up the conversation.
All right.
Because if we don't do that, then it'll always be this thing that we don't talk about on TV or in public.
Okay.
And that's not fair.
So real quick, tell people how they can participate and help you with the policy.
So it's on my social media handles, official Janet Bogo on Instagram, official J Bogo on Twitter. So link in my bio. And the whole idea is just raising the profile and amplifying the fact that this issue needs to be prioritized. And if it isn't, more girls stay out of school. There's women who have to choose between food and sanitary products. So why don't we change this by having a policy that allows for access, not just to products, but to the right kind of information and include men and boys as well, because they're our allies. And if they're better educated, then at least we're kind of making some progress. Other countries are trying to get there, but this needs to be a global thing. It's so sad that it's 2019 and sanitary products are taxed and people can't afford them and women are staying home and girls are staying and not going to school in 2019. So participate, sign the petition. I've already spoken to 1 or 2 legislators. I don't want to say their names right now, it might be premature, but it's gaining traction. I'm so excited, and I think the more we participate as the public, the more that we can, the further we can go.
All right, so we do have one final caller on the line. Oh, Kirote.
Yes.
Hi.
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I am fantastic, Kirote. What is your comment or question tonight?
It's a question.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the menstrual cup.
Yes.
The menstrual cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're using the tampons, you're advised not to use them when you're cramping. Yeah, what about when you're cramping? Can you use the cups?
All right.
Is
That's
it
actually...
advisable?
Thank you so much, Kirota, for that question. It's actually a good question because I saw an interview that you did, and you said that, you know, it reduces cramps. Is that true?
Yes, that actually happens. The reason why we don't use it as our headline is because that does not apply to everyone. The fact that it reduced your cramps does not mean that it's going to reduce mine. So we don't want you to buy the cup with the intention of it reducing your cramps, but it does reduce the days and it does reduce the cramps. The other question about the tampon, you see sometimes, especially if you're very clots, when you're bleeding the clots, you understand what I mean? We see with a tampon is designed to absorb. So things, when it comes to the clots, it cannot really handle it. But when it comes to a cup, like I said, it's not absorbing anything. It's simply just collecting anything that your body's giving out.
Yeah.
So you're actually shedding quicker and you're getting all the clots and any other thing that would be in your cup. So yes, it's perfect for someone who has like a heavy period and also someone with clots.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, as we said, so nothing pours, guys, for those of you who are watching. It's actually very safe, very convenient, very affordable. All right, so now Neville, real quick, as you wrap it up for us. MHM, right? Menstrual hygiene. The week has passed, the month has passed.
Yes.
Tell us about.
Actually, maybe just before the month that passed, I just want to inform Kenyans that we've actually been doing so well on issues of menstrual hygiene management. And in fact, we are the first standalone country to come up with an MHM policy, of which is spearheaded by the Ministry of Health, and I believe it will be launched soon, the moment it's signed by the Cabinet Secretary.
Okay.
Then also at the same time, we've actually tried to raise the profile of MHM in Kenya. But the only challenge we've been having is we might be known globally to be doing so much on MHM. But in Kenya, very few people know that there's something called MHM. In fact, you are just attesting to the fact that we rarely talk about menstruation. This is something that we ought to talk about. This is something that we really need to look at, issues of breaking the taboos and the silence, providing that menstrual education, and also looking at all the available options that are there for us to manage periods so that girls are able to have an informed choice and look at, lastly, issues of disposal.
Yes, I love it. And MHM, as he says, that's menstrual hygiene
Management.
Yes, management. There you go. Now, we could go on and on and on about this, but I feel like, you know, we need to start having these discussions. It's not uncomfortable to talk about something that's natural to you. And women, for a long time, you've been made to feel so embarrassed and so awkward, as I said, about something that you have no control over. It happens every single month, and every single month, you either need a cup or a sanitary pad. And in a household where we're making less than $1 a day, we cannot be talking about sanitary pads if we don't have any food to put on the table. That's why it's a very important conversation to have, because girls keep on missing school every single month. There's some girls who are now having, you know, husbands and boyfriends because they feel like they're not going to have their periods. So it's a really serious conversation to have. Thank you so much, Janet and Ebby and Neville, for joining us tonight as we talked about this. Let's see what guys were saying online. The hashtag Hey Amina at the Trend Live. Tricky.
Yeah.
What do people say?
Watu hapo wamechangamka vibaya sana Amina. Kenya Democrat anasema it's so sad that menstrual education is not part of our primary education to create awareness to our young girls. Wow, thank you so much. Kuna mwingine hapa anajiita Beauty Indifferent anasema I suffered in silence for 8 years until I was too much to bear.
It was too much.
I don't want any other girl to go through the same. Thank you so much. Huyo ni hafu tuko na Ruth Waweru anasema it's sad, so disheartening to hear. Usishangae na Kiingereza yangu Amina. Inapitia hapa, inatokea hapa na inapatana nayo hapa. To hear cow dung and leaves are used by those who can't afford pads. Hizo ni reactions the topic. Then niko na wase wangu wa mimi hapa haraka haraka Amina. Kuna jamaa mmoja hapo wa Mbogi fulani sijui ni wapi anajiita Dua ya Gayo anasema Pastor Nganga akisikia mnaongelea bibi yake.
Labish.
I don't know why kila mtu hapa anang'ang'ana na hii meme. Ukifukuzwa job alafu upitie kwa side chick, upate akitapika. Hivi ndo look na mchapa. Thank you so much. Little vibes wa mso. Alafu hapa niko na nani? Niko na Rebecca Becky Mwangi. Anasema pale Ngara ukisikia, sister tuko na size yako, tuko na size yako, tuko na size yako. Na unaangalia hivi unapata ni jacket kubwa ya mzee wako. Thank you so much manze for your tweets. Nani mwingine hapa? Little vibes tena tumeshamalizana na yeye huyo. I think hapo ndo tuko Amina.
Tricky. Oh, thank you so much. I like it when we have people who don't usually do the show when they come on the show. And I just see that. Sijui sasa naenda wapi. Nifanye? Niongee na nani? I like how they do that. Anyway, so Tricky is going to be with us throughout the entire show. #Hamina at The Trend Live. We're going to be back after this.